Hi there, and welcome to Capital Alchemy, the podcast that brings you big names in finance from South Africa and beyond. Here we chat about all things money, whether it's investments, financial planning, economics, or even a bit of politics. Our mission? To make these topics fun and easy to understand through laid-back interview-style episodes. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. We hope you learn something new. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Capital Alchemy. I am your host, Lerato Libitsa. Today, we're opening up 2025 with Tim Slatter, a communications specialist within the industry. Tim, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I actually wanted to say when I drove in, this is such a beautiful day in Cape Town.
It is.
And I thought like, oh man, I wish we were outside right now. It's a perla, there's no wind. So to our listeners and our viewers, I wish you could experience what we're experiencing in Cape Town this morning. And it's good to have you in our city for a little bit. So thanks for having me on this morning. It's great to open the year with you and have this amazing conversation. I'm really looking forward to what we've been discussing and prepping for today. I think at the bottom line, we help financial planners keep in touch with their clients. That's our basic value proposition and what we've been doing for 13, 14 years now.
So when I go through your site, I see, and even on your LinkedIn page, you always say assisting financial planners. And I'm thinking, are you not assisting the full financial service industry altogether? Just connecting the dots, because I found ways that I could relate, and I'm an investment specialist and not a financial planner, that I could use you guys in our day-to-day just as a business.
Absolutely. So because we help people stay in touch with their clients, the industry overlap is really kind of hand in glove, and we could deal with any industry professionals. We've worked with DFMs, still do work with some compliance companies who are all inside of the financial sector. But the bulk of our work is done with typically independent financial advisors. And I think it's really because of a need. A lot of financial advisors are single business owners, one-man show, and they need the support. They need a way to stay in touch with their clients because they realize as their business grows, their client base grows, and it becomes harder and harder to keep consistent engagement with their clients. And financial planning, financial services as a whole has a very strong need to be built on a bedrock of trust. And that's where communication comes in. And I think more specifically than communication, conversation, because you can communicate by not having conversations. And when you're not having conversations, your clients think, well, are you still around? And that's typically the type of advisor who comes to us, a financial planner that comes to us and says, I haven't been in touch with my clients. I haven't been able to because I'm busy with compliance. I'm busy with getting on new business. I'm busy with onboarding staff. I'm busy with so many other elements of running my own business that this has fallen by the wayside. And it's something I recognize. And it's great that we're having this conversation, I think, at the beginning of the year, because this is often when a lot of business owners think about what do we want to achieve this year? And sometimes they start off by saying, well, what did we want to do last year and didn't get to? And so I often find when planners come to us, it's, Tim, we've been wanting to do this for 3-4 years, and we're finally putting it on the table. Let's do this.
The other day when we were prepping, we got into discussions about communication, social media, and the importance of it within the profession. So let's unpack the link between communication, social media, the end client, and the importance of it within the profession.
So those for me are all very different areas.
Okay.
But they all are linked to each other. So communication is a strategic element of your business. So in business management, it typically falls under public relations, which is what my degree is in. And it's generally focused on creating, building, and sustaining mutually beneficial relationships between an organization and their stakeholders. So then we're talking about communication that's internal and external. And again, I said, communication could be a lack of conversation, or communication could be a proliferation of conversation. And what happens is when people get bogged down in other areas of business management, finance, sales, operations, etc., human resources, communication falls away and it becomes an afterthought. And so what happens is people know I need to stay in touch with my clients. And often the easiest thing to do is to start a Facebook page, because people think, well, that's what my clients are doing. That's how they're staying in touch with their clients. So let's get a Facebook page. I don't know anything about Facebook because I'm over 40, so I'm going to get the youngest kid in the organization to start a Facebook page. And that's often how the journey goes. Okay. And so now we're in social media, but we don't have a communication strategy. We don't know what conversations we want to have. We don't know who we want to have conversations with. And so then a lot of businesses are stuck with this page, and then the intern or the young person who started it disappears or moves on or whatever happens to them. And now no one knows what to do with this Facebook page. So often guys come to us and go, Tim, we've got a Facebook page. Will you manage it for us? And that's our first conversation with them. And so then we backtrack a little bit and we say, well, why do you have a Facebook page? What are you wanting to achieve? And typically, and this conversation I've had thousands of times over the last 13, 14 years. How many years now? It's 2012. What's that? 13 years ago. And we have found that there are specific tools that we can use in order to stay in touch with clients in the digital space. And that's what we focused on. So that's why in the industry, and the profession, we've been very busy and building our brand around being online communication specialists. And when you talk about online communication, you have to start including your digital brand, because how you present yourself, how you come across, that's what your brand starts to look like, your reputation starts to look like. And then inside of that, there are different elements of how we break that down. And this becomes complex. And when people start to try and do this internally and by themselves, this is where the process gets slowed down. And they start in the beginning of the year and go, we're going to do this. And they allocate the role to a few staff members. And by November of the year, well, maybe 1 or 2 of the 10 things we wanted to achieve have been done. And next year, we'll try to do the rest.
You've said so much, and my mind is like pinging. But at the same time, we've been talking about the importance of language within the industry and profession.
Yes.
And we were talking about distinguishing why industry instead of profession. Can we just, I know a lot of people are probably thinking, why are we busy going profession? Can you just like unpack the importance of language?
So, I mean, for me, language is everything, right? So the words we use are so important because every word we use has a connotation. So words like budget will have connotations with clients. Some clients will be, yes, let's get a budget. And other guys will just walk out the door. No, you're not talking to me about budget, you know? And every word we use in our daily life, no matter what we do, is going to have power. And I did a presentation at the HUM conference last year talking about words and how words are similar to magic, because magic is really just the use of words. That's why they call it a spell, because we're using words to achieve an outcome. And that word outcome has come up a lot in this sector, a lot in recent years that we've been working with. You know, we're starting to get outcomes-based investing, outcomes-based financial planning, which a lot of guys are calling lifestyle financial planning, because we're saying, well, what are your lifestyle outcomes that we want to achieve? Because they realize that when we use that language, clients are able to go, well, that makes sense to me. I don't necessarily come to you asking for a specific product because I don't know what products are out there, but I come to you with a life problem and I need you to help me solve that problem. So the language we need to use is language that the end client can read and engage with, typically digitally, because most of our lives nowadays, I think everyone would agree, are digital. We can't escape it. It's not about should you have a website, should you be here? It's what are you doing there? What is happening on Google when people look for you? What are they finding? Is it new or is it 6 years old? And what does that communicate, right? So when we come back to language, and we're looking specifically at the 2 words, industry and profession. I think it was Cobus Klein who first drew my attention to this and chatted to me about this. And I realized that even in my way of dealing with financial professionals and industry people, practitioners, or however we want to word it, I needed to understand who are my target audience. And when I'm speaking to these people, this is the type of language I need to use. And when I'm speaking to these. So if we want to put it into those 2 groups, and I'm sure there are lots of other groups we can look at. Industry, my understanding is it's more around products. And it's something that is created and sold. It's an industry, We're going to create this and we need to sell so many units of this in order to make a profit on the cost to create it. That's, in my understanding, what an industry looks like. In the financial industry, it's financial products, and it's a whole lot of intellectual capital that goes in. You were talking to me about your political background, clever people who can go, well, if this happens in politics, this is going to happen in the markets. So then we can help our clients diversify. And then on the other side of the conversation, clients are going, but diversify for what? Invest for what? And that's where you have a professional coming in who's saying, I need to understand your life. I need to understand what your goals are. I need to understand what your problems and challenges are so that I can help you choose the right products. And for me, that's what a professional is. So a professional is not only focused on selling product. Product is part of their journey, but a big part of their experience that they create for clients is getting to know you, getting to understand you, and create a space where you can talk to me. I've found and learned in the last few years that financial planning doesn't happen when I meet with my planner. Financial planning happens when the proverbial hits the fan and life goes wrong, right? Now I need to know, am I covered? Am I insured? Do I have enough money to back me up for the next few months? What does it look like? My daughter's just told me she's getting married. Can we afford this? My wife wants to go on a holiday. I want to go on a holiday. I need a break. Can we afford it? And that's when financial planning happens, right? So I brace that into two words, choice and trauma. That is when we experience a transition. So transition in life is affected by something traumatic, dread disease, fired, someone dies, etc., or by choice. I choose to retire. I choose to change my job. I choose to change my lifestyle. And in those two moments, it helps if there's someone who can help me say, according to your setup, this is what we need to do. If you want to do this, you're going to need 3 months, 6 months, 20 years. You know, if I go to my advisor now and I tell him, Dave, I want to retire today, he's going to say, well, Tim, actually, you're going to have to wait until you're 68 based on the current figures. And I'm going, no, that's too far. So he said, okay, why is it too far? No, because I want to retire at 60. Okay, cool. Then we need to start doing this, this, and this. You know, now that is not a product conversation. It's a lifestyle outcome conversation. And there are lots of financial planners who are CFPs, who are professionals, who are investigating ways to educate clients that this is the type of conversations we can be having. And when we use language in our content, so the way we help financial planners keep in touch and keep their clients is by the creation and the distribution of lifestyle financial planning content that we create. We've spent years and years understanding what this looks like. So now financial planners can come to us and say, how do we stay in touch and keep our clients? Right, we need to get content in front of them regularly so they have the perception, because public relations is, we communicate in order to create a perception. Because truth for everyone is how we see the world at the end of the day, right? So we need to create the space where we feel like our clients know we're around, because we don't know when they're going to go through a choice that changes their life or a trauma that changes their life. And as nice as it would be for people to wait until the anniversary of their product to talk to you, and can you just wait until that happens, until we have that transition?
It hardly
it's not going to
does.
happen.
Yeah.
It never does, right? So your clients need to know that you're not there pushing products saying, hey, I want to meet and sell you something. They need to know that you're just there, so that when that trauma or that choice happens, they go, I need to speak to my guy or my woman.
I like the fact that you touched upon communication, conversation, and relationships. So now what we are saying is that at the end of the day, within this profession, it's about the end client. So it's not about the financial planner and the bottom line. We still have to remember TCF, treating the client fairly. We need to consider their lifestyle. We need to consider what they're trying to achieve, but also what their current situation is. Can we just talk more about how it's about the relationship with your client? Because we did, I think, unbox about this the other day as well, but it's all about relationships. Yes, we start off with networking and creating a network. We start talking to clients and discussing our profession or our products, but at the end of the day, it's about maintaining the relationship throughout and ensuring that they still have faith and trust in you to look after their money, because after all, life is money.
Yeah. So I think it's Susan Bradley from the Money Institute who said, when life changes, money changes, and when money changes, life changes. And that is intrinsically linked to how we experience life. And from a a lot of the work we do for some of our clients is very, very much in the strategy space. And that for me is often my favorite part of what I get to do, because I love being strategic. I love thinking deeply about things. I love being philosophical, because for me, that helps us understand meaning and why we're doing things. And so when we approach a communication strategy, I like to use the 5 W's and the H. As anyone who's ever heard anything I've ever said at a conference or a webinar, I always harp on about this. And when it comes to digital communication, I find that often the first entry points, if we look at the 5 W's and the H, the 6 letters, there's 2 groups of 3. There's 3 that says the how, the when, and the where, okay? And those 3 are pretty easy because, well, I can go on a website, I can write blogs, I can start a LinkedIn page, a LinkedIn profile, a Facebook page, a WhatsApp group, an email newsletter. Newsletters can go through MailChimp, they can go through whatever platform I'm using. Newsletters can now go through LinkedIn. So all of a sudden, those 3 become quite easy and quite accessible. But those 3 are very inefficient when we don't do the other 3, which is the who, the what, and the why. And the why is very important. Why am I communicating with my clients? And this is what you're saying. It's because relationship is important. And when we talk about relationship, we then have to include the second W there, which is who. Who am I in relationship with? And when I can start to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing and who I'm in relationship with and why I'm in a relationship, I can then say, well, what am I going to say to them? And now we can start to create an intentional and an empowered message that attracts, connects, and engages. Because if we're just putting messages out there that just, litter the landscape of social media, we're in the same pile as everybody else. Because social media is overwhelmed with useless information. And it's useless information because it doesn't apply to my life. So it's information that might be useful to other people, but to a large extent, it's useless to me, which is why algorithms exist. Algorithms are there to try and say, Tim, you're hopping onto our platform today, and there are 1 million things that have happened in the last 5 minutes. And out of that 1 million, I'd like to maybe put 30 in front of you that I think will add value to you. Why? Not because I care about you, but because I want you to stick around. I want you to keep scrolling, because when you keep scrolling, I have your attention. And when I have your attention, I can sell your attention. And that's what's been happening with social media. Social media started off, 1997 was the first recorded social media platform. And it was all about connecting people with people. And somewhere along the line, I don't know, 2013, maybe before then, it was already happening. These platforms started selling our information to advertisers. And advertisers started to proliferate the space. And it became more about connecting people to products than people to people. So the platform's still there and the opportunity is still there, but we have to be super intentional and super aware. So I often like to use the words balance and boundaries when people talk to me about social media specifically. And social media is the tip of an iceberg. And underneath that iceberg, we've got a whole strategy of what content I'm creating and how am I distributing that content. That's happening under the water before you even see what I'm doing on social media. But unfortunately, most people see what's happening on social media and they think, well, that's the be all and the end all. It's just the cap of the pyramid. And so we need to underpin the social media strategy. So before I even talk to clients about social media, we need to know, how are you consistently creating content that is designed to fulfill your who, your what, and your why? Because otherwise, the other 3, you're dead in the water. You can run it for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months at a push, and I guarantee you're going to come back and go, this is a waste of our time.
You're touching on your 5 W's and an H. And then it just triggers with me about importance of branding. Before you start reaching out to the who, the what, and the whys, you first have to look at yourself as a professional and your brand. Can we talk about the importance of branding? Because, we've seen ourselves evolve from corporate suit wear to a very smart casual wear, but we still need to link ourselves to the right clientele. And when we were discussing the other day, it was about how to meet the right type of client.
Yes, absolutely. So as you worded that, how do we reach or meet the right client? Often that question is asked in a business without the right. It's just, how do we reach more clients,
Yes.
not how do we reach more of the right clients. And that's why social media is often a first pitch for many businesses. And people come to us and they go, we need more traffic to our website. And what they're saying is, I need to sell more. That's actually what they're saying. And that's why you've got to step back and go, well, is that your objective? And why do you want to sell more? And is that how you actually want to make money? So a lot of financial advisors that we've been chatting to and financial planners we've been working with over the last decade have been having this conversation internally before they even put their brand out there and go, how do I make my money? And can I sleep at night based on that?
Yes.
How do I communicate how I make my money to my clients? How am I open and honest about that? And then this is why we have fees conversations. This is why we have guys coming out now who's saying we are flat fee based advisors. We will charge based on our time and our expertise and what we bring to the conversation rather than what I sell you at the conversation. And to be even further transparent, whatever I sell you, I will not take any commission on, because I'm not here. And they're doing that as a decision to say, I'm not here to sell. And then you get guys who have a hybrid model to say, you don't have to pay me for my advice, but then I'm going to need to be paid based on what you buy.
Yes.
And then you get guys who are saying, I'm happy to just sell you whatever you want. And those are brokers. Those are people who say, I'm here to sell a product. And those are guys who are sitting more in the industry space because they're helping the industry model. The industry's creating product and I need people to sell my product. That's a standard business model, and that's perfect, that's fine, that's healthy. It's how businesses should run. The problem is when it gets blurred and mixed with a different side of the profession that has different intentions, and then clients get stuck in the middle and they're not sure of who am I working with, what am I doing, what am I paying for? And unfortunately, as I'm learning, as advisors, the more advisors I talk to are telling me, people only find this out in their late 50s and 60s.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because now I want to cash in on my policies.
Yes.
Now I want to retire. And they're like, well, you've actually only got 10 million. No, but I thought I'd have 15 million by now. Yes, but fees, ultimately, as I understand it. I'm sure it's more complex than that, but that's the breakdown. So now advisors are going, hang on, I'm dealing with 50-year-old clients who've been on pensions schemes and various retirement plan
but remember, there's
programs,
withdrawals and everything else.
through companies, through government, through whatever it is, they trusted the organization, whatever percentage would come off and you'd put in and I'd be able to retire at 60. And they hit 60 and they're like, well, actually, based on the lifestyle you have, you can't, and then guys are like, well, why didn't I know this 20 years ago? Why didn't I have these options to me? And at the same time, 20 years ago, the industry didn't know that. And well, I don't know if they didn't know that, I wasn't around, but my perception is that wasn't an option.
Yes.
So a lot has changed in the last 10 years. So when you step back and you go, what is my brand in all of this? And this is why we mostly work with independent financial advisors, is because they want to put their own brand out there. They want to say, this is what I do for my clients. Because at the end of the day, we mentioned trust earlier.
Yes.
And trust is not built by something I write on a website in terms of I'm qualified. I've done this for 20 years. I have a full team of qualified experts. That doesn't build trust, because everyone says that and anyone can say that. What builds trust is a journey specifically of getting to know you and getting to like you, and then I will trust you. And so we have found that we can strategically use digital communication to reinforce that journey, not to replace the planner, but to reinforce them. So that in the space between meetings, when I sit with you and I talk about what's going on in your life and how that influences your finances, to maybe 2 years' time when I get to sit with you again, because although, compliance-wise, you're supposed to do it every 12 months, I think it is.
Yes.
Everyone knows it doesn't happen every 12 months, and clients say, that's fine, I don't have to meet with you right now. But at the same time, you're not having that energy, that exchange, that what's going on in your life, how are you feeling,
What's changed?
What's changed? Because clients say nothing's changed. But when something does change, and then we're back to that transition, choice of traumas happen now. Now I want to know, I trust you and I can come to you and I know that you'll have my best interest at heart. And that's why a personal relationship is so important. And that personal relationship is based on the brand, which says, I know you, I like you, I trust you.
I'm loving the synergies of how what you're saying of getting to know you, getting to like you and getting to trust you. It not just triggers my mind about Capital International as a group, and we are focused business to business, yes. but we don't take every other business.
Mm.
It's about the relationship that we build with the business and obviously their end client.
Yeah.
Yes, we all in this industry for the bottom line, but it's also about the relationship that we have with our advisors, with the ultimate business at the end of the day. It just makes sense with why we have the business model that we have.
Absolutely.
Which is very important.
Absolutely.
So now your motto that you have on LinkedIn about making it work. Can you unpack that?
So that's in my headline, I think, at the moment.
Yes.
And
make it happen, make it work, and
make a difference.
Make a difference.
Yeah. So I think this aligns with a lot of the problems that clients bring to planners themselves. They're like, I need to fix my financial situation. I'm always in debt, or I'm always overspending, or I never have enough saved. What do I do? I want to change. And the financial planner talks to them, sits with them, puts a plan in place, tells them what has to happen, and no change happens. Right? And we've found that financial planners, I suppose all small business owners, have the same challenge when it comes to the online communication. They want to be out there. They know it's important. They know it has to happen, but it doesn't happen. So that's where our first two words come in. Make it happen. We're going to make it happen. Okay. And then I think about planners I've worked with who have gone that step and worked with other people who are website specialists, for example.
Okay.
And they'll get a website or create blogs, and we'll write blogs for them, or do newsletters, and we'll write newsletters for them, or manage social media, and we'll manage that element, and it doesn't work. And that's where the second thing is, they've had someone make it happen, but it didn't work. And that's where we step in. And ultimately, I'm saying, why do we want to make it happen? Why do we want to make a difference, make it work? Because we want to make a difference. And that then brings us back to our why. So we can build a website for you. We can pack it full of blogs for you. We can send out newsletters. We can help you with social media, but it has to make a difference to you guys as a company. So you feel like you are fulfilling your obligations as it pertains to your client experience that you are wanting to deliver. And CX is a huge conversation in the profession at the moment. What are our clients experiencing, and how are we communicating what we feel is important to financial planning? So for some financial planning planners, an important conversation is product selection. For other financial planners, it might be investment. For other financial planners, it might be risk. For other financial planners, it might be succession planning. And every planner is going to have an element of the journey that they feel adds the most value. And they're going to put that forward in their conversations. It's always going to come out. We need to talk about succession planning. We need to get back to this. We can talk about this, this, and this, but what's going to happen when you pass away, or this happens, right? And like that for every other area. And you'll have clients who will go, yeah, I agree, that's important. And you'll have clients like, why do you keep harping on this? And then you already know there's not a good synergy. And now you know, well, this is not my type of client. And this then helps you come back to, well, what is my brand? What is my message? So now we're back to then again, even further one step back, what is the right type of client? How do I get more of the right type of client? Understanding my brand, understanding my message. Another way this is put is the value proposition, your VP. What is your value proposition? And all businesses need a value proposition, because the value, in my understanding, is measured by the difference you make in a client's life. And that is a perception, because the difference you make in someone's life is up to them.
It's subjective.
And they need to say, this is valuable. And you might go and spend 20,000 Rand on something that I'm like, wow, that was a waste of money. But to you, it's exactly what you wanted. And I can say, I structure my business around my family. So I'm not willing to put in this amount of hours a day in my business, because I want to spend 5 hours a day with my kids and my wife. And someone else is going, but if you spent that in the office, imagine how many more clients you could get. Imagine how much more money you could have. And I'm like, yes, but then the trade-off is time with my family, and I can never get that time back. So I'm not going to put those hours in. And now we're not even talking about money anymore, are we?
No.
Now we're talking about outcomes. Now we're talking about lifestyle. That's how these things are all connected. And so if a financial planner values working hard, they are going to have clients who value working hard and spending lots of hours in the office. If a financial planner values overseas trips, they're going to have clients who value overseas travel. If they value camping in the bush, then they're going to have clients who value that type of lifestyle.
Shared values.
And understanding, so you said earlier, before I even get to the 5 W's and the H of my business and my clients, I need to start with myself. What messages am I telling myself about who I am? How am I adding value to my life? And that's personal growth. And there's a couple of guys out there that I've worked with who do strength finder programs with financial planners, who do Enneagram programs, and are saying, if you want to add real value to your clients, you need to know what it means to add value to yourself first. And that then is a whole different conversation. And it's very exciting to know that that kind of conversation is happening, because that talks about personal growth, personal enrichment.
I think we could sit here and chat all day, but I'm going to throw in the last wheel spanner in this conversation before I let you go. I know you're a communication specialist, but you mentioned diversification, and Capital International is in the offshore space. And I truly believe that South Africans, as much as I'm still pro-South African, that there should be diversification within their wealth management plan. Your thoughts on that?
On diversification outside of South Africa, specifically. So I'm not a financial planner.
Yes.
and I focus more on the people side of what's going on. But I love how everything in life is connected, and we can correlate stories and see what's happening. And I can see the value in having diverse relationships with people. My own family are all around the world. I have a brother in the UK, I have a sister in Malawi, and I have parents in Perth. I have cousins in Canada and New Zealand who I'm very close with. So, and they have very different lifestyles. They have different conversations every day. And knowing what's going on in their lives enriches my family and our lives. And it often adds strength to what we're doing, because we're like, wow, there are other ways to look at this. Sometimes we get bogged down and we're like, all we see is our little world that's going on right now. And we're consumed by that. And sometimes that little world can be very depressing, and then it becomes bad for our health. And I have to believe that the exact same thing is true for finances. If you are narrowly invested in one space and things are going wrong in there, it can be very depressing, and you can go, well, what else can we do with this person's money? How else can we help this client achieve these goals? And the minute you're able to step outside of that and go, well, there are other options, and I don't have to abandon that because this is still real, but I can get other areas and go, wow, they're also struggling in this country, but these guys seem to be getting it right. So let's maybe see what they're doing, invest some time, invest some money in what they're doing, and see how that grows. And when you're able to draw these stories and explain this to clients as well, clients are like, oh, well, that makes sense why I should have some of my money offshore. Absolutely. Okay, let's do it. And, with social media, our world is tiny. Most people on this watching this now and listening to this now will be aware that we've just had American elections.
Yes.
And not elections, what do they call it when they induct or whatever,
Swearing in,
inauguration. Thank you. They've just had an inauguration. That's in America. That's not here.
But it's affecting our rand.
But it's even affecting conversations. People are like, oh, can this guy get into politics? And other guys are like, oh, maybe we misjudged him because look at what he's done. And we like what he's doing. And now we feel bad because we like what we're doing, but we didn't like the man, or we like, yeah, we told you all along Trump's the guy, and that's just one country. What's happening in Russia and Ukraine, what's happening in Israel, what's happening in the UK, what's happening in Australia, all of those things. I'm only aware of Australia because I recently visited and spent time with my parents and watched their news. And we're like, is this what's going on here? And drove on their roads and saw their cameras and was party to the way they run life. I'm like, sure, that's quite different to South Africa. And now either I'm going to go, I really like that, I need to get there, or I'm going to go, that's not for me. I'm going to stay where I am. And the same thing is true of our money. You're like, what are these people doing with their money? How are they building investment opportunities? How are they supporting local business? How are they building capital that's invested in there? I need to get some money in that country because what they're doing is right. How is that country taxing and costing me money? Because tax costs us on our investments, right? And if you explain that to a person like me who's not a financial planner, I want to get on board with that. I'm like, how much money do I need to do that? I need $500,000. Okay, well, I'm not there yet, but can we save? And maybe in 4 years' time, can we do that? Or maybe at the end of the year, can we do that? And that's how I would approach it. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I
answers that question.
Yes. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and talk to us. Please like and subscribe and join us on Capital Alchemy.
Thank you for having me. It's been a great privilege to chat to you. Thank you.
It's been an honor. Thank you, Tim. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to hear more, press subscribe to make sure you don't miss another minute of Capital Alchemy. See you next time.